Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am Dr. Supradip Das, Assistant Professor at the Department of Design, IIT Guwahati, and this is the 30th lecture of the course Introduction to Toy Design. In this lecture, we begin by examining a tension that exists across many creative industries, but is particularly visible in toy design. The gap between designers and marketing. Designers are trained to think deeply about experiences, development, materials, and interaction quality. Marketing, however, focuses on adoption, visibility, and market response. We will first explore why even well designed toys sometimes fail in the market, despite having strong play value or thoughtful design. This will help us understand the practical realities of the toy industry. Next, we will examine how designers and marketing teams often approach the same product from different perspectives. The designer focusing on experience and marketing focusing on clarity, positioning, and consumer understanding. We will then discuss several industry requirements that designers sometimes overlook, including category fit, communication clarity, price bands, and retail expectations. After that, we will look at real examples from the Indian toy industry. Through case studies of brands, we will examine how different companies successfully bridged the gaps between design insight and market success. Finally, we will reflect on what these examples teach us about designing not only for creativity and play value, but also for real world industry environments. By the end of this lecture, you should begin to recognize the designer marketing gap when you encounter it in real product contexts. You should understand that a toy can be thoughtful, meaningful, and developmentally valuable, yet still struggle in the market if it does not communicate its value clearly or fit industry expectations. You should also be able to identify the factors that influence whether a toy succeeds commercially, such as category fit, price positioning, packaging, communication, and buyer understanding. You should be able to analyze toys not only as design objects but also as products within a marketplace. In other words, when you look at the toy brand, you should be able to ask questions such as, what problem does this product solve for the buyer? How clearly does it communicate its value? How does it position itself in the market? Most importantly, you should begin thinking about how to apply these insights when developing your own toy concepts, ensuring that creative ideas are also aligned with industry realities. This is the core tension we need to understand before we move forward. Designers optimize experience. We think about play value. We think about developmental depth. We care about material integrity, ergonomics, emotional impact, and interaction quality. We ask, is this meaningful? Is this thoughtful? Is this enriching? Marketing, however, optimizes adoption. Marketing asks, will this move off the shelf? Does it clearly fit a category? Is the price bracket appropriate for the target segment? Can our parent understand the benefit in under 10 seconds? Will retailers record it? Notice something important here. Both perspectives are valid. They are simply different lenses applied to the same product. Designers measure success in terms of quality of experience. Marketing measures success in terms of market response. When these two lenses are not aligned, tension appears. The designer may feel misunderstood. Marketing may feel the product is difficult to sell. The lecture is not about choosing sides. It is about understanding both languages. Now, here is a difficult but necessary truth. Many good toys fail. Not because they lack play value, not because they lack innovation, not because they lack thoughtfulness. They fail because they lack alignment. A beautifully designed toy may not clearly fit into a retail category. Retailers do not know where to place it. A deeply researched developmental toy may be priced in the wrong bracket for its perceived value. A conceptually rich toy may require too much explanation on the box. If it cannot communicate quickly, it struggles on the shelf. Sometimes packaging does not reflect the strength of the product inside. Sometimes the narrative is too academic. Sometimes the benefit is too abstract. And sometimes retailers hesitate because they are unsure of sales velocity. Industry does not evaluate toys only on quality. It evaluates clarity, fit, price, speed, and confidence. So, the question we must begin asking is not only, is this a good toy? But also, is the toy positioned clearly enough to survive in the market? That is where the designer marketing gap begins. Designers are trained to solve problems deeply. You might say this toy supports executive function development through working memory engagement and inhibitory control practice. That is a valid and thoughtful design goal. But marketing asks a different question. Marketing asks, what problem does this solve for the parent? Does it help the child focus longer? Does it reduce screen time? Does it build school readiness? Does it improve handwriting? The designer speaks in developmental theory. Marketing speaks in everyday language. The gap appears when the benefit is real but not translated. Design impact must be translated into relevance, not simplified, translated. Because if the benefit is not understandable, it cannot be adopted. You may design a toy that supports cognitive flexibility, social negotiation, symbolic play, fine motor skill refinement, and emotional regulation all at once. But marketing operates under a different constraint. A consumer decision at shelf level often happens within seconds. So, marketing compresses all that nuance into something like build focus through play, screen free STEM fun, creative problem solving kit. That compression can feel reductive to designers, but it is necessary. Depth without clarity becomes invisible. The industry challenge is not to remove depth, but to compress it without distorting it. Complexity must be compressible. That is a skill designers rarely practice but must learn. Designers think about process. You imagine how the child opens the box, explores components, experiments, discovers patterns, builds confidence, revisits the toy, deepens mastery. You think about the journey of play. Marketing thinks about the shelf. When a parent walks into a toy store, they scan dozens of products in seconds. Color blocks, box shapes, price tags, age labels. Before the child ever touches the toy, the product must survive a shelf decision. That means visual hierarchy matters. Category labeling matters. Benefit clarity matters. Experience begins before play begins. If the toy cannot win the 3-second scan, the journey of play never happens. That is not a design failure, it is a positioning failure. And positioning determines visibility. Designers instinctively think about the child. Is it fun? Is it intuitive? Is it developmentally appropriate? Is it emotionally meaningful? Marketing asks, who is paying? In many cases, especially in India, toys are bought as gifts. Grandparents, relatives, parents attending birthdays, so the decision maker is not always the user. The buyer wants reassurance. Is this educational? Is this age appropriate? Is this safe? Is this worth the money? The child seeks joy. The buyer seeks justification. If the toy delights the child but fails to reassure the buyer, purchase may not happen. Design must speak to the user. Marketing must speak to the buyer. Alignment means respecting both. Let's discuss some Indian brands that have managed to crack the code through various methods. Skillmatics began as a brand with a clear purpose to make learning fun, engaging, and screen-free. The founders saw two important gaps in the toy and game industry. First, parents were concerned about excessive screen time and were seeking alternatives that would engage the children meaningfully. Second, educational products often lacked both playfulness and structured learning value. Launched in 2016, the company positioned itself around core skill development through systematic play. A message that resonates with parents worldwide. From activity mats and card games to craft kits and STEM games, Skillmatics developed products that were not just playful puzzles but tools for building creativity, reasoning, language, and problem solving skills, all without screens. This positioning is not accidental. It reflects a deep understanding of both child developmental needs and parental purchase motivations. Skillmatics embraced a digital first mindset, early leveraging e commerce marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart, Walmart, and their own D2C platform to reach customers directly. Their mission was not just about making toys. It was about making learning experiences that could clearly understood and valued by buyers before a single purchase. One of the early strategic breakthroughs for Skillmatics was recognizing where consumers were moving online. Founder Dhwanil Sheth, based on his experience in global retail consulting, observed that parents increasingly researched toys before buying. Online platforms offered not just purchases, they offered information, reviews, and social proof that parents rely on. Skillmatics used this insight to its advantage by first proving demand online before moving into offline retail. They used data analytics to understand search behavior, conversion rates, and unmet needs. Its search traffic was high, but conversions were low, what signified a gap, a product opportunity. This tech-enabled, data-driven approach allowed Skillmatics to innovate quickly, launching products in a matter of weeks and iterating based on user feedback. A speed that traditional toy companies rarely match. Once products showed traction online, Skillmatics leveraged that proof point to convince major retailers, including Walmart, Target, and Hamleys, to stock their products, dramatically expanding their global presence to over 20,000 stores worldwide. This strategy allowed them to combine the design advantage of innovation with the industry requirements of demonstrable market pull before scaling distribution. Skillmatics succeeded not just because their products were thoughtful, they succeeded because their messaging bridged design intent and buyer perception. Their communication is remarkably clear. The packaging, online listing, and product descriptions articulate benefits that parents care about. Skill development, screen-free play, and family engagement. This solves a key industry challenge. Can the toy explain itself in 10 seconds? Skillmatics often does exactly that, quickly conveying what the product does and why it matters. The price bands, often between rupees 299 and rupees 999, also help. This range places products in accessible entry categories for parents while allowing clear SKU differentiation as complexity increases. The alignment of price band with category expectation has helped them scale faster. Their data-driven approach means they rarely invest in a product that does not show early signs of consumer validation. that helps them avoid the designer blind spot of assuming value without real market proof. By putting benefit communication, value clarity, and parent reassurance at the core of their go to market approach, Skillmatics effectively bridged the gap between design insight and marketing reality. So, what are the core lessons we learn from the Skillmatics journey? First, start with the real market problems. In their case, screen fatigue, parental demand for educational play, and desire for fun learning. Second, use data and proof, not intuition, to guide both product development and marketing decisions. Third, articulate design benefits in parent understandable language. Educational value is great, but parents need clear, simple value statements before they will buy. Fourth, leverage online channels to prove demand. Online marketplaces provide not just sales, but valuable consumer insights. And finally, build a process, a system that iterates quickly and responds to consumer feedback, not just designer instinct. Skillmatics is a rare example of an Indian toy brand that has truly aligned design insights with industry requirements and marketing strategy, transforming our vision into a global reality. Smartivity. Smartivity represents a new generation of Indian toy startups that combine design thinking with educational purpose. The company was founded in 2015 by Apurv Gupta, Ashwini Kumar, Rajat Jain, and Tushar Amin, with a vision of making learning engaging through hands-on play. The founders noticed a common problem. Many expensive toys captured children's attention only briefly, while screen-based entertainment continued to dominate children's leisure time. This insight led them to develop DIY construction kit based on STEM and STEAM concepts, where children assemble functioning objects such as pinball machines, music machines, marble runs, and mechanical hands. Instead of simply playing with a finished toy, children actively construct it, discovering principles of physics, mechanics, and engineering along the way. Smartivity therefore positioned itself as a learning through making platform that bridges play and education. Smartivity's growth strategy was built around a very clear trend: the rising global interest in STEM education. Parents increasingly want toys that do more than entertain. They want toys that build problem-solving ability, engineering curiosity, and analytical thinking. Smartivity addressed this demand by creating toys where children build working mechanical models from scratch. For example, a Smartivity pinball machine construction kit allows children to assemble the structure themselves and then play with it. During the process, they learn about motion, force, and mechanical systems. This hands-on learning model resonated strongly with parents and educators. The company quickly expanded its distribution, through both online marketplaces and retail stores, eventually reaching international markets and shipping millions of products globally. Smartivity's success is a strong example of design and marketing alignment. First, the category positioning is extremely clear. When a retailer looks at a Smartivity product, they immediately understand where it belongs: STEM toys, construction kits, and educational DIY toys. Second, the benefit communication is simple and compelling. Instead of explaining complex developmental psychology, Smartivity communicates a clear message. Children build something themselves and learn science concepts while doing it. This message resonates with parents who want learning outcomes but also want children to enjoy the process. Third, the interaction design supports the marketing promise. The toys are designed so that building is the central activity. This makes the educational benefit tangible rather than abstract. Finally, Smartivity products are designed with clear age segmentation, making it easier for retailers and parents to select the appropriate product. This alignment between product design, educational value, and marketing message is one of the reasons the brand has scaled successfully. Smartivity succeeded because it identified a powerful intersection between education, play, and engineering curiosity. First, it built its brand around a clear and growing category: STEM toys. This category already has strong global demand, making it easier for retailers and consumers to understand the value proposition. Second, Smartivity embraced the idea of learning by making. Instead of passive toys, their kits require children to build mechanical systems themselves, with detailed construction manual that provide direction as well as conceptual understanding. This hands-on interaction increases engagement and reinforces learning. Third, the company maintained a strong design identity centered around engineering, problem solving, and creativity. Fourth, the brand tapped into a broader educational trend, preparing children for future careers that require scientific and technical thinking. Finally, Smartivity demonstrates that Indian toy innovation can compete on a global stage. In fact, one of its construction kits won the International Toy of the Year award, highlighting how Indian design capability is gaining recognition worldwide. The next brand up for discussion is Fun School. Fun School occupies a very different place in the Indian toy ecosystem. While brands like Skillmatics and Smartivity emerged from entrepreneurial ideas or parenting philosophies, Fun School represents industrial toy manufacturing at scale. The company was established in 1987 as a joint venture between the Indian Industrial Group (MRF) and the American toy company Hasbro, and began commercial operation in 1988. This partnership was significant because it brought global toy manufacturing knowledge into India at a time when the domestic toy industry was still developing. From the beginning, Fun School positioned itself around quality, safety, and large scale production. It did not focus on a niche philosophy of play, but rather on building a strong toy manufacturing ecosystem capable of producing toys for both Indian and global markets. Over the decades, Fun School has expanded into one of India's largest toy manufacturers with multiple factories and broad product portfolio covering board games, puzzles, action figures, educational toys, and licensed character toys. This positioning, combining manufacturing capability with product diversity, allowed Fun School to become one of the foundational companies shaping the modern Indian toy industry. Fun School's growth strategy differs from the digital first or niche strategies we saw earlier. Instead, the company built its strength around manufacturing capability and brand partnerships. One major driver of Fun School's expansion was licensing global toy brands. The company manufactures and distributes toys in India under licenses from companies such as Hasbro, Disney, Warner Brothers, and other global entertainment brands. This licensing strategy allowed Fun School to bring internationally recognized characters and games into the Indian market while leveraging local manufacturing efficiency. At the same time, Fun School invested heavily in manufacturing infrastructure. Today, it operates multiple production facilities in India with advanced molding, assembly, and testing capabilities. The company also built a strong retail distribution network, with its toys reaching thousands of retail outlets across India as well as international markets. This combination of licensed brands, strong manufacturing, and broad distribution allowed Fun School to scale rapidly and become a dominant player in the Indian toy industry. Fun School provides a very interesting example of how design and marketing align in large toy companies. Unlike boutique toy brands, Fun School operates across multiple categories simultaneously: puzzles, board games, activity kits, action figures, and licensed character toys. This diversification allows the company to maintain a strong category fit, which is critical for retail success. For example, a retailer stocking Fun School products can easily place them in specific sections: puzzles, board games, preschool toys, or character merchandise. The company also relies heavily on licensed intellectual property. Children already recognize characters from films, cartoons, and television. When these characters appear on toys, the marketing challenge becomes easier because awareness already exists. This is a classic example of how marketing reduces risk by building on existing cultural recognition. Fun School also focuses on clear age segmentation, but product ranges ensuring that retailers can easily place and recommend products based on age groups. In other words, the company's design decisions are closely tied to how toys are sold in the real world, through categories, licenses, and retail placements. So, what explains Fun School's long term success? First, the company invested heavily in manufacturing capability. Instead of relying entirely on imports, it built large scale production facilities in India, allowing it to produce toys efficiently and maintain quality control. Second, Fun School leveraged strategic licensing agreements with global entertainment brands. These partnerships allowed the company to bring familiar characters and establish game formats to Indian consumers. Third, Fun School built an extensive distribution network. Reaching thousands of retail stores ensured that the brand remained visible across the country. Fourth, the company maintained a broad product portfolio, allowing it to participate in many toy categories rather than depending on a single product type. Finally, Fun School developed strong brand credibility over decades by emphasizing quality and safety standards in toys. This combination of manufacturing strength, strategic partnership, and market alignment allowed Fun School to become one of the most influential companies in the Indian toy industry. Next, Desi Toys. Desi Toys represents a very different idea within the Indian toy ecosystem. One rooted not in technology or globally licensing, but in cultural revival. The company was founded by Swapna Wagh, who wanted to revive the traditional toys and games she remembered from childhood and introduce them to a new generation of children growing up in a digital world. Her observation was simple but powerful. Many children today are surrounded by screens and electronic entertainment, while the toys that earlier generations grew up with, spinning tops, lagori, gilli danda, and other simple games, are slowly disappearing. Desi Toys was created to bring these experiences back. The brand focuses on traditional Indian playthings, reimagined for modern children, emphasizing craftsmanship, safety, and cultural identity. Many of the toys are made using natural materials and traditional craftsmanship with a strong emphasis on sustainability and plastic free production. This positions Desi Toys not simply as toy company but as a brand dedicated to preserving India's play heritage while adapting it for today's children. Desi Toys' growth strategy relies heavily on cultural storytelling and nostalgia. Instead of competing directly with global toy giants or technology driven toys, the brand occupies a unique niche: toys that reflect Indian culture and childhood traditions. Many of their products are inspired by classic games such as spinning tops, that is lattu, lagori, and other heritage play activities, which have been adapted for modern packaging and safety standards. The brand primarily operates through direct to consumer online channels, which allows them to connect directly with parents looking for meaningful and culturally rooted play experiences. A major milestone in the company's visibility came when it was featured on Shark Tank India, where the founder presented the idea of reviving Indian heritage toys for contemporary children. This exposure significantly increased public awareness and positioned the brand as part of a broader movement promoting made in India toy manufacturing. By combining cultural nostalgia with modern retail channels, Desi Toys found a distinct place within the toy market. Desi Toys demonstrates how cultural identity can become a powerful design and marketing strategy. The design philosophy behind the brand is simple: revive toys that were once common in Indian childhoods and reinterpret them for modern families. From a design perspective, these toys are often simple in mechanics: spinning tops, wooden toys, and traditional games. But the marketing narrative transforms them into something larger. Instead of positioning the toys simply as entertainment products, the brand frames them as ways to reconnect children with Indian culture and heritage. This narrative resonates strongly with parents who want their children to experience something beyond digital entertainment, evoking nostalgia. Another important aspect of the brand's positioning is the emphasis on sustainability and plastic free materials, which appeals environmentally conscious families. In this way, Desi Toys aligns product design, cultural storytelling, and modern consumer values into a coherent brand identity. Desi Toys succeeded because it identified an opportunity that many larger toy companies overlooked: the emotional value of cultural nostalgia. First, the brand focused on heritage play experiences that are deeply embedded in Indian childhood memories. Second, it created a clear niche identity instead of trying to compete with global brands on technology or scale. Third, the company aligned its products with broader trends such as sustainability, local manufacturing, and cultural pride. Fourth, the brand leveraged storytelling effectively. The toys are not just objects, they are presented as part of a larger cultural narratives. Finally, Desi Toys demonstrates that innovation in the toy industry does not always mean new technology. Sometimes innovation means rediscovering traditional ideas and presenting them in a contemporary way. This approach allowed the brand to stand out in a market dominated by plastic toys, electronic gadgets, and global franchises. Blix represents another important strand within the Indian toy ecosystem: engineering focused STEM learning toys. The company was founded by Abbas Gabaziwala, who comes from a family deeply connected to the toy industry. His father created the well known Indian engineering toy brand, Mechanics, which inspired Abbas' fascination with building and engineering from an early age. This background strongly influenced the philosophy behind Blix. The goal was to create toys that help children build real mechanical systems rather than simply interact with finished toys. Blix developed DIY STEM kits and robotic sets designed for children roughly between the age of 5 and 14. These kits allow children to assemble vehicles, mechanical systems, marble runs, robot, and science experiments using modular components. The core idea behind the brand is simple but powerful. Children learn best when they build, experiment, and discover principles themselves. So instead of passive toys, Blix focuses on construction based learning where play becomes a gateway into engineering, science, and problem solving. Blix followed a slightly different growth strategy compared to some of the other toy startups we discussed. Instead of relying purely on retail consumers, the company actively engaged with schools and educational institutions. Many of their products are used not only as toys but also as hands on STEM learning tools in classrooms. In fact, thousands of schools across India have adopted Blix kits to teach robotics, engineering, and problem solving concepts through experiential learning. This strategy allowed Blix to position itself at the intersection of education and toys, giving it a dual market, schools and households. Another important aspect of their growth was distribution partnership and online retail presence, making their products accessible across India. More recently, the brand also gained wider visibility through television appearance such as Shark Tank India, which helped introduce the company to larger consumer audience. Through these channels, Blix gradually built recognition as a homegrown STEM toy brand focused on practical learning. Blix is a good example of how a strong design philosophy can align well with market positioning. From a design perspective, the toys are built around mechanical construction systems, gears, structures, motors, and modular parts that allow children to build functioning models. But the company does not communicate this in complex engineering language. Instead, the marketing message is simple and clear. Children learn science by building things themselves. This is a powerful promise because it resonates with parents who want their children to develop practical skills rather than just consume digital entertainment. The toys also align strongly with the broader STEM education movement, which encourages children to develop scientific and technological thinking from an early age. In this way, the design, which focuses on engineering construction, directly reinforces the marketing narrative of learning through experimentation. Blix succeeded because it built on a very strong foundation, a tradition of engineering toys in India. The founders' background and inspiration from earlier construction toys helped shape a clear design philosophy centered on learning through mechanical experimentation. Second, the company aligned itself with the rapidly growing global interest in STEM education. Parents, schools, and policymakers increasingly recognize the importance of developing scientific thinking and problem solving skills. Third, Blix strategically positioned its toys not only as entertainment products but also as educational tools that can be used in classrooms. This allowed the brand to access both the consumer toy market and the educational market. Finally, Blix demonstrates how Indian toy companies can innovate within the STEM category by combining engineering design with hands-on learning experiences. Its success highlights the growing role of construction-based toys in developing creativity, curiosity, and technical thinking in children. Ariro Toys, another Indian brand, emerged from a very personal need experienced by its founders. The company was started by Nisha Ramasamy, a Montessori teacher, and Vasant Tamil Selvan after the birth of their daughter, while preparing a Montessori style environment for their child. They realized that many infant toys available in India were either plastic heavy or imported and expensive. In particular, they struggled to find safe wooden teethers and sensory toys, which are commonly used in Montessori early childhood environments. To solve this problem, they began designing and manufacturing their own toys locally. Initially working with a carpenter and experimenting with neem wood because of its natural antibacterial properties. From these beginnings, Ariro gradually evolved into a brand that produces a wide range of Montessori-inspired toys, infant kits, and baby play products. The brand positioned itself as a made in India Montessori toy company, focusing particularly on toys for babies and toddlers. Ariro's growth strategy was built around identifying a clear market gap. Montessori toys, especially for infants, have long been popular in Europe and North America. However, in India, these toys were often imported brands with high price points. This meant that many Montessori toys were accessible only to a small group of families. Ariro recognized that there was an opportunity to produce similar types of toys locally, making them more accessible to Indian consumers. By manufacturing in India and selling primarily through online channels, the company was able to offer Montessori-inspired toys at significantly lower prices compared to imported alternatives. This strategy reflects a broader trend in the Indian toy industry, identifying product categories that exist globally but are underrepresented in the domestic market. In this sense, Ariro's growth was driven by market gap recognition and localization of an existing product category. Ariro's design philosophy closely aligns with Montessori principles. Many of the toys focuses on simple forms, natural materials, and sensory exploration. These characteristics are typical of Montessori learning materials, where the goal is to allow children to explore textures, sounds, shapes, and movement in a calm and focused environment. From a marketing perspective, the brand emphasizes three key values: safety, natural materials, and developmental benefits for infants. This messaging resonates strongly with parents who are looking for alternatives to plastic toys. The brand also benefits from the growing popularity of Montessori education in urban India. As more parents become familiar with Montessori principles, they begin searching for toys that align with that philosophy. Ariro's positioning therefore connects design philosophy, parenting trends, and market demand. This case study also raises an important design question. Where do we draw the line between inspiration and imitation? Many Montessori style toys sold by brands around the world resemble earlier products developed by established toy designers. For example, the well-known Knife rainbow toy, designed by Heiko Hilling in 1954 for the Swiss company Knife, consists of curved wooden arches that can be stacked, balanced, and arranged in multiple open-ended configurations. Over time, toys with very similar rainbow stacking forms have appeared across many brands globally. From one perspective, this can be seen as copying an existing design language. From another perspective, companies argue that they are bringing a type of play material to markets where it was previously unavailable or unaffordable. In industries such as toys, where open-ended play materials often rely on simple geometric forms, the boundaries between inspiration, adaptation, and imitation can sometimes become blurred. But design ethics is not only about form, it can also involve technical innovation and intellectual property. In India, engineering solutions and product mechanisms can be legally protected through patents, which grant inventors exclusive rights to a particular functional invention. For example, the Indian Institute of Technology Guwahati was granted a patent for a multi-purpose transformable furniture assembly under patent number 543493. The patent describes a modular system in which side panels and connecting bars are joined using specific receiving and matting mechanisms, allowing the structure to be assembled into multiple configurations such as benches, desks, shelves, or play structures. Because these mechanisms are patented, the specific engineering solution is legally protected. However, in real-world industries, it is not uncommon for products to appear that resemble patented ideas or research prototypes, such as these examples of Ariro's Jungle Gym. This brings us to an important question that designers must consider carefully: where is the boundary between adapting an idea for a new market and infringing upon protected innovation? The toy industry, like many design industries, often operates in a space where ideas evolve, adapt, and spread across companies and countries. For designers, the key lesson is to think critically about originality, attribution, intellectual property, and ethical design practice. Innovation is not only about creating something entirely new, it is also about respecting the work of earlier designers and researchers while building new ideas responsibly. The Ariro's example becomes interesting because it sits at the intersection of business opportunity and design ethics. On one hand, the company identified a genuine market gap. Montessori style infant toys were largely imported into India and often expensive. By manufacturing locally, companies can make these types of toys more accessible to Indian families. From a business standpoint, this is a valid strategy. Many industries grow by localizing global product categories. However, another perspective asks a different question. If a product replicates the design language of an earlier toy or uses a mechanism protected by a patent, Then issues of intellectual property and design ethics arise. In product design, copying can occur at different levels. Aesthetic imitation, functional imitation, and imitation of patented engineering solutions. While markets often reward accessibility and affordability, the design profession also values originality, attribution, and respect for prior innovation. This tension between market opportunity and design ethics is something every designer eventually encounters. This question is not only legal, it is also ethical and professional. Designers constantly work in fields where ideas already exist. The challenge is to learn from existing ideas while still contributing something new. This balance between inspiration, adaptation, and innovation is part of what makes design both challenging and exciting. As we come to the end of this lecture, it is worth reflecting on the central idea we explored today: the gap between design thinking and market thinking. Designers care deeply about the quality of experiences. We think about play value, development, material integrity, and interaction design. These are essential aspects of meaningful toy design. However, the toy industry operates within a broader system that also includes retailers, distributors, parents, and market expectations. A toy must not only be well designed, it must also communicate its value clearly, fit within recognizable categories, and inspire confidence in the people who purchase it. The examples we discussed today show that successful toy companies do not ignore design depth. Instead, they translate that depth into language, packaging, and positioning that the market understands. In other words, they bridge the designer marketing gap. For designers, this is an important lesson. Creativity alone is not enough. Innovation alone is not enough. A successful toy must align design insight with industry realities. When designers understand how products move through markets, shelves, and homes, their work becomes not only imaginative but also impactful. So, as you move forward in your design journey, keep reflecting on the topic we discussed today. Let these ideas guide how you think about both creativity and communication when designing toys. And until we meet again, keep your ideas curious, your thinking open, and your approach to design both thoughtful and practical. Have a wonderful, playful time. And I look forward to exploring the next ideas with you in the coming lectures.